My name's Steven, and I'm talking to you a little bit about the Test Loader project today. This is something we've been working on for a few years, and I want to talk about the differences between core test results first and FA test results or state reporting test results, because I know there's always a little bit of confusion, understandably. And so what I'm talking about here today is going to be almost exclusively about core test results, not EMIS, not state reporting. But I do want to show you a screen that'll maybe illustrate the difference for everybody in the room and online. And what I want to get to by the end of this 10 minutes or so is to know whether this is going to be useful to you, whether you guys are using it, and that sort of thing. So that's part of the intent of this presentation. So this is the difference in the displays between core test results versus state assessments. Core test results, that screen up in the top left has been available for, well, at least as long as I've been around, probably a lot longer in PowerSchool. Whereas in the bottom right corner, that's a customized screen to display state assessments from the EMIS or state reporting side of things. So a lot of you had requested that in past years, came out a couple of years ago. I think it's really nice. It's visually appealing, obviously. But there are reasons that you might want, that I think some of you still do want, your test results in core test results. Now, I also want to point out that it is required for state reporting to get your test results into the state reporting side. And so what you're seeing in the bottom right corner, that display, which, by the way, if you have it turned on, parents and students have access to in the public portal to see that screen. But also they have access to see that core test results in the public portal. Again, resulting in some confusion a lot of the times, not just for parents and students, but for us as well. So you can so in the room, someone said, yeah, you can turn off that to lessen the confusion, absolutely. It just depends on which side you're using, and that's what we're getting to here. So, again, state assessments, there's a setup page within your district, from your district admin menu to turn on which tests you want to display in the bottom right corner. And then the core test results in the top left is just core PowerSchool. And what we're doing here on this project that I'm speaking of is making it a little bit easier for you as the district leaders, as the users, whomever manages test results in your building, to get these test results into the core side of PowerSchool if and as you need them. Okay, so as we've already talked about, not going to spend much time here. Which test scores can we import? If you have test scores that you want imported into core test results, put in a case, ps.support@metasolutions.net with your test scores. I'm going to talk about why the loader is a little picky and why it has to be a little picky, again, to keep out bad data and only import good data. I'll get a little bit more into that before I wrap up here. But if you have test score files that you want imported specifically into core test results, not for state reporting, send them to the ps.support email address. And you can do that as early as today. Again, I've already taken a few. Lisa? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. I do not, but I'll ask, is besides what I've said in the last 10 minutes or so, is there more that maybe a person like that in the district would need to? Okay, so we could technically clip this presentation, put it on YouTube as a separate, here's why some use core test results. Is that helpful? Noted. Yeah. Great question. Thank you. You know my my struggle here. So we can take either CSV or TXT. So Christine and Sally and I have built out mappings to use both. The really difficult part, and that brings me to my next slide, is that test score reports Sometimes they have different column headers. This is fake data. We don't need to worry about exposing any data here. So it's a puzzle, right? Because you're providing these files in either a TXT format or a CSV format. And we've built mappings for both types for each of these tests because some of you are pulling different types of files. But also we have learned, and I really appreciate some of you, like a couple of our districts in the room here have helped me out by showing me what that login, or once you log into these test environment, these test organization websites, what they look like and all the options available, right? I can choose what the column headers are and what I want to pull and what I don't. And in the beginning, we were trying to predict that to build these mappings. So the leftmost graphic here, our idea is for you never to really see that screen or need to worry about that screen because we're building the mappings for you. And Corey's created a community environment type of thing that once we create it in our test box, we can share it out to each district who needs it. So when one district says, hey, I want to import ASVAB scores, oh, good, I have the mappings for those already. I'll push them into your environment. However, if the way you pulled the report doesn't match the mappings, then I have to go adjust them. Also, keep in mind, and this is the ultra important piece, is the way your standardized tests are built are not, I'm going to use the word, standard across the board for all of our districts, right? You have different sub-test score titles. So we're not changing those, but we're adjusting our mappings to fit your standardized tests. And in the case when, let's say, I'll use map scores. That's kind of I think that's been a newer request for us in the past year. For some of you, we're creating the map standardized test score in response to you saying we would like map test scores imported for that now. So we're working out some bugs. We're catching things. But this is kind of the puzzle to solve as we go along, and why we're keeping it in-house in terms of send your requests to us, and we can import them for you. Consistency is key. So the first time you provide a score file, we may need to adjust your test mappings. We may need to build a standardized test, like I said. And as what happened with OELPA this week, the column headers all changed again. So the file I was provided by 2 different districts, just the column headers had a couple extra words in there, and my mappings didn't match anymore. So I had to fix them. But then again, I'm pushing it out to all the districts in response to that. So these are the challenges that we're working through. But in the end, we can make it happen as a team for you. All right, so again, send us your files, and in response to the question in the chat earlier, again, CSV or TXT, but as long as there's consistency in the way you send us those files, because when you send us the first one, it'll go a lot smoother if the second file you send to the same test looks like the first one you sent. But I understand that also your files change. So one thing I didn't put in the presentation, I'm going to put a plug out there for, is please do not hand modify the files. Anytime we open an Excel, resave it as something else, or again, the column headers change, or we lose leading zeros somewhere, we have the opportunity for bad data. So please do not modify the files, just send them over as you pull them. Any other questions for me? That was a lot. Yes. I'm so glad you asked, truly, because in the room, someone asked if I already had my ACT scores for, let's say, March imported, but then I get a new updated file with maybe some more information that matches the standardized test I have in there, how would that work? And it will overwrite the previous scores. So whatever you provide us, and technically all those scores should match, per kid, what was already in there. It'll just add to the record. But truly, it'll technically replace the record as long as the date and the test type matches, the date of the test and the test type. Yeah. So in a quick example, you sent me your ACT scores with the 4 primary subjects, but then you sent another file that had, the STEM subject test score. And that STEM test is created as a subtest in your environment. It'll overwrite all the scores, replacing them, but also include your STEM score now. Does that help? Good. Anything else for me? All right. I'm kind of anticipating seeing some test score files sent my way this week. Thank you. Great question. That has changed. You could send them. Yeah, you could send them separately. The reason is, so the question in the room was, can I send my OST subject scores separately, or do they all have to be in one file? You can send them separately because it's looking at the test date. And please correct me in the room if I'm wrong. A student wouldn't take two different subjects in one day, right? Probably not. So technically, if ELA was taken on April 16th and math was April 18th, it's going to be a separate record anyway, so it won't matter. Yeah, that's a good question, though. And also, to add to that, the OST specifically are subject area specific in the actual test now, which was intentional. Thank you for asking. Anything else? All right, I'm going to turn it over to the next person.